Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show, y'all. I ain't slept right since that storm night. You'd think thunder would shake things loose, but sometimes it just rattles what's already cracked. Cornell's words kept humming in my skull. A man can carry a truth that heavy and still feel lighter than the man who refuses to touch it. I didn't know if that was wisdom or surrender, maybe both. Morning came like a bruise, slow, dull, swollen with what we didn't say. I watched him fold his sheets like always, corners neat, edges straight. That's how you survive in here. You fix the small things so the big ones don't eat you alive. He'd start doing that thing again, writing without words. Just a pencil dancing, looping, shaping invisible sentences that only God could read. I asked him once what he wrote. Balance, he said. You write enough empty pages, one of them gotta forgive you. Weeks blurred together. The unit always smells like bleach and regret, but that month it was thicker, like both were fighting for the same air. I noticed Cornell was eating less, talking less, even breathing quieter, like the world owed him silence for time served. One day, I caught him staring through the bars at the yard. Sunlight spilled across the concrete like a guilty confession. What you see out there, I asked, and he said, roads. I said, ain't no roads in that yard. He smiled a little. There's always roads, Joe. Some just go in circles. That line hit harder than he probably meant, because that's what prison is, one long lap around the same mistakes, different faces, same ghosts. I'd walked mine so many times I could have drawn it blindfolded. But Cornell, he was walking his with his eyes open, counting every crack. The thing about men like him, they don't break loud. They corrode, quiet, patient, like metal in rain. You don't notice till you reach for him one day, and the whole thing comes apart in your hands. I remember the day the CO called his name for mail. It wasn't the usual white envelope. It was yellow, thicker, hand addressed. Cornell took it like it might bite. He waited till count was done, then opened it slow. His eyes moved, then stopped. He closed it and just sat there, elbows on knees, letter between his fingers like it was bleeding. You good? I asked. He nodded, but it wasn't a yes. I waited, let the silence sweat a little. Then he said, it's from Leilani's foster mama. I felt my stomach drop before he finished. She say the state moving her out the county. New house, new name. Said it's for her protection. He folded the letter once, then again smaller, till it disappeared into his fist. That's their way of saying she don't belong to me no more, he whispered. I wanted to tell him that ain't true, but truth in here ain't about what's real. It's about what you can prove. And he couldn't prove fatherhood with paper and toothpaste glue. He stopped going to the yard after that. Stopped eating ramen. Stopped playing chess. He just existed. Like air that got tired of being breathed. One night I caught him humming, low, almost broken. It wasn't a song that I knew. He said it was something his mama used to sing when the lights went out. The storm don't change God's address. I wrote it down in my head because I knew I'd need it later. Then came that morning, the one where you wake up and the energy in the air feels wrong. Like the walls are leaning in to listen. The COs were moving strange, whispering, too many of them on the tier. I heard a radio crackle, then that tone they use when something went left. Medical to C block. Code blue. Cell 43. 43. Cornell cell. I don't remember moving, but somehow I was standing by my bars, heart dragging a chain. They rushed past with a stretcher, white sheet too tight around what used to be my friend. Somebody whispered it was pills, maybe more. Somebody else said no, it was his heart, too tired from too much thinking. They don't tell you which version to believe. So you just pick the one that hurts less. That night, the tear was silent like an open grave. Nobody joked. Nobody yelled through the vents. I sat in my bunk, staring at that empty space above me where he used to snore like a man keeping rhythm with his guilt. A CO came by later, dropped a plastic bag through the bars. His property, he said. Inside was a chess piece, a bishop, and a folded letter. It wasn't sealed. Just my name scratched in pencil. Joe, if you read this, I ain't ran. I just reached where the road ended. Don't think less of me. Tell her, if she ever finds you, that I loved her enough not to lie to her. Keep teaching these fools how to walk with both feet on the truth. Cornell. I folded that letter till it felt small enough to hide in my palm. Then I slid the bishop next to it in my pocket. That piece still sits there, years later. A small reminder of a man who played life like chess, moving diagonal, always trying to protect something holy. The system didn't say his name after that. They said body. They said transfer. They said discharge. But never Cornell. The state buries your first name before it buries your bones. Weeks later, I got another envelope, no return. Inside was a drawing, a flower, maybe a marigold, maybe just a circle with hope inside it. In crayon, it said, Daddy told me about you. Be brave, Leilani. Somehow that little girl had found my name. Or maybe he planned that too. Maybe that was his last move on the board. I wrote her back. Couldn't say much. They read everything, but I told her daddy was a man who carried truth like water, careful not to spill it, even when it burned. I ain't seen another letter since. But sometimes, when the mail car squeaks past and I smell that cheap ink, I swear I feel her drawing another marigold somewhere out there. To me, I still talk to him at night. Not praying, not confessing, just talking. 'Cause some stories don't end. They echo. Every time I hear a cell door slam, I think of trunks and secrets and roads that circle back to the same mistake. Every time I see a young dude jump in somebody's car without asking what's in the back, I want to yell, but I don't. I just watch, quiet, hoping he learns his lesson before the ride gets long. Cornell's death didn't teach me forgiveness. It taught me about weight, how every lie, every favor, every unasked question adds up. You don't drown in rivers, you drown in inches. So now, when I tell stories like this, I ain't entertaining nobody. I'm warning them. I'm letting them know how quiet the truth can kill. Sometimes late at night, when the vents hum and the lights flicker, I pull that bishop out my pocket, hold it in my palm, and listen. The plastic warms up like it remembers his hand. And for a minute, this cold cell don't feel like punishment. It feels like a story still being told. That's what he left me with. Not revenge, not peace. Just a truth too heavy to drop and too sacred to throw away. And if I'm being honest, most nights that's enough to keep me breathing. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.